Hey everybody and welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through the basics of getting custom animations set up on your website. Now this will be using HTML and CSS. As you can see here, we have 5 different options. Now you'll see that we have things like a rotating box. You don't need to actually use this or associate the rotation with a box or a circle, for example. You can use these and tie them to different elements on your page, like an image, for example. So I'm just going to walk through the basics of getting this set up, and I will provide the code. I'm going to show you 2 ways that you can do this. You can skip the ChatGPT portion if you're interested. It only takes about 20 seconds. I'm just going to show you how simple it is, basically just requesting from ChatGPT. I went through a couple of revisions, but really just went and asked for CSS and HTML animations. So you'll see that there's a couple of different things here related to changes being made, but the general idea is we'll have a styles.css page, or I guess we should say a document, and then we'll have an index.html page. You'll modify those to match up with your website's structure. Now, if you want to get the code I'm using today, you can get it for free over at codelessfix.com. There's a coded apps section, and you can just click source code library. And you can scroll through and you'll see that we have 2. So the first one is going to be the HTML portion, and the second one is the CSS portion. So what we're going to do is we're going to open our Notepad document, and we'll start out with the index.html portion. Now, there's not too much content here. The standard HTML portion for the beginning and really just declaring the width and scale. Now, you'll notice here, this is a crucial part. We're referencing our styles.css, and that is on my desktop along with the index.html file. Now, the body is basically all of the content. So you'll see here we have the div opening and closing, and basically we're separating each of these items. So you'll see that we have the container class, and then you'll see that we have our ball. You'll see that we have all of these different elements, and the black text here is basically just corresponding to the black text that we have here. So you'll see that this is all of the index.html content. Not much to cover here. We'll go over the styles section next. Now, there's quite a bit of content here. I really like the background, just that general color, but if you have questions about that, everything's listed here. And then you'll see this is, again, the body for this CSS sheet or styles page. So you'll have all of the general details that you would need here. As we scroll through, you're going to see our container defined further. You'll see the animation wrapper. And now we get into the effects. So this is split by effects. You'll notice they're commented out in green here. So the first one is the bouncing ball. So you can change the details for this here. For example, if you want to add in a 1 and adjust the size, and we'll just see what that does. So I'm going to go back to my page and I'll refresh it, and you'll see the ball has increased in size. So you can make those different adjustments there. You'll see that we have our animation and everything else highlighted along with the color. And then you'll see really just how this is set up as far as the transform is concerned to get this set up. Now, I don't really feel the need to adjust this at all. It seems like it's going in a pretty solid space, but you can play around with these numbers if you feel compelled to do so. Now, next up is the rotating box animation. So the obvious width and height, color, and then the transform portion, and you'll see where 0 and 100 is defined. Now, if you have any questions or confusion, you can hit save when you make a change like this, and then we'll refresh the page here. And you can see what actually changes when we make those adjustments. So I'll go ahead and change this back. Now we have our fading button animation. This is probably my least favorite. It's, again, just fading in and out. Doesn't really even have to do with the hover effect at all. Then we have our pulsing circle and our welcome text. Now, the welcome text is only sliding when the page refreshes, but you'll see, again, we have that fading button here, and then our pulsing circle, and again, you have the portions for transform, for example. So let's just say we wanted to change this to 2.5. You'll see the general idea of what's actually being altered when we set that scale. So obviously, large number means the circle's going to be larger. Now, the next thing to note here is the sliding text animation, which I think is pretty popular on quite a few different sites. So you'll see it has 0 and 100, and again, you can kind of figure out how you want to set this up. You can look online if you want to learn more about the transform functions in CSS, and you'll see again the general ideas. So you'll see slide 3 seconds, ease in, out. And again, you can, if we're just saying, okay, translate -100, what would happen if we were to make this -50, for example? We can minimize this, and you'll see the change in the effect. And since it is a little bit difficult to notice, we're going to make the change slightly larger, and then we'll refresh, and you'll see it's basically changing that axis. So for example, if we put 3, so we're going to make it -350. Then we refresh the page. Now it's coming from much further away from this center point. So when we change this to 350, you see that it starts from a much further portion of the left-hand side of the page. And then you'll see you have other things that you can adjust. So for example, you'll see 0 and then the 100 and what that transform looks like. So you'll get the general idea. You always have options. If you're just curious, you can just start switching out random numbers as long as you kind of have the general idea for what that default looks like. But you'll see that this here is adjusting that speed. So the general idea is you can adjust things really however you see fit. And that's kind of the point of me providing this source code. It's mainly just people know the general idea of the animations that they're looking for. They really just want to see the basics of how to adjust them. So I know that this was a very, very quick overview, but the general idea is the code's available online for you. And if you're wanting to, or if you're interested, you have the ability to make the adjustments that you need to. So you can see the div class here is saying it's a ball, and then you'll see bouncing ball. So you can go over here to the div class for ball and see what's specified here and make those adjustments. So really everything can be adjusted from within this CSS file from that point moving forward. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment box below, and I'll see you all in the next video.